All right, let's talk a little bit about Nintendo. Yeah, from what I understand, 3 people, I'm not gonna name their names, I don't really care, it doesn't matter, are upset because the people are upset because 3 people took jobs with Nintendo to commentate one of their events. I think the quote that I saw is like crossing the picket line. They're basically people saying, how could you possibly support Nintendo? Blah, blah, blah. They've done all this shit to us. How could you possibly go and help them with their event? Let me say a few things on that. If you don't like that they went to work with Nintendo, that's perfectly reasonable. I get it. I get why. Do you know their financial situation? Melee and Ultimate commentators do not get paid very much at all. Melee players and Ultimate players do not get paid very much at all. It's very easy to sit behind a screen or sit behind on Twitter, even if it's not behind a screen, even if you're a public face, and say, why don't you just do this when your livelihood and your ability to take care of yourself is not in question? If I was in the spot I was 2 years ago, now, with all Nintendo done, if they invited me to a $100,000 invitational, do you think there's any universe I'm not taking it? Literally any universe that I'm not taking it. I have to. I had to sub-goal food. I'm choosing to continue to have nothing to my name, not build a future. And people are like, oh, we can get money elsewhere. Where the hell are you going to get money commentating, bro? We got to start paying them more. Where do you suggest we pay them more from? Where's that money coming from? How do you suggest we pay them more? Do you understand something? Let's look at Big House 9 Melee payouts, okay? These are the competitors. These are the reasons, no offense, that people watch these tournaments. I didn't even get my flight home back from top 8 at a super major. Do you know how little majors pay out? The only event that gives us anything is Summit. The only event that gives us anything at all is Summit. Period. And why? Because they organized their way to crowdfund everything, which is awesome. I'm so happy they did it. I love Summit. We owe them so much, it's ridiculous. But this is not sustainable. And you're like, well, you're showing the competitors. You think the commentators are going to make more than the competitors? There is no tournament without Mango, Zane, Leffen, Fiction, Mewtwo, blah, blah, blah. Like, the tournament doesn't exist. There are no commentators to commentate. There's no infrastructure set up to actually get people money. There's not enough money to actually get around to the commentators right now. And you're like, oh, well, what about all the streams and all the people who donate and sub? That's how the players are living. Do you think I play Melee without my stream? No, I would have to quit immediately. Oh, but Mango is all that. Mango's worked his ass off for fucking 15 years. Say what you want about how big a stream is. He's earned it. He worked his butt off to get there. And he works more than almost anyone else on his stream. So yeah, he deserves it. It's the same way he works at another job. That's just the way it is. And so you can't expect like, oh, well, just don't give Mango money. No, that's not how that works. Also, you're giving someone a product. Like, people are paying for a product. They're paying for Mango Stream because they like Mango Stream because it does a good job. That doesn't mean that you can just put that money elsewhere. Like, another concept that people just often look over, it's like, oh, well, what if we just took the money from all the streams and put it elsewhere? Do you think that if I took away all my Twitch money, right, that I would immediately put it back into a tournament? Or do you think that if I took away all the money that I spent on people to support them, maybe I would take it elsewhere? Do you think maybe I would put it towards a house? Maybe I would help out my family a little bit, right? It's not so simple to just take away and put it somewhere else. That's not how life works. That's not how economics works. That's not how anything works. And then you have all these people saying, oh, fuck Nintendo, blah, 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 go on Twitter, start a rampage. Guys, do you have any idea how insignificant we are to Nintendo? I'm sorry to give you a reality check. Even the people who think that they have a big social standing, like, oh, I got me and my 70,000 followers, can totally hurt the $64 billion corporation. No, you can't. The only thing you're doing is being a nuisance to them and making it even less likely that they're going to cooperate. I'm not saying you have to love Nintendo. I'm mad at them. There are things that I'm very frustrated about, obviously. I'm in a position, me and Moki might be the people who are in the 2 most regrettable positions strictly because of Nintendo. Because we don't make enough money for being how good we are at a game when you compare it to other games because of Nintendo intervention. We don't have the leagues. We don't have the sponsorships. And if anyone's going to be mad at them, it's going to be someone like me and Moki who are literally, I struggle financially for 2 years to eat. And Moki's in a similar position now. Those are the people who get royally screwed over by this. More than any of you, more than anyone else. Because this is quite literally my job, right? So I have as much of a reason to be mad about this as anyone else. I know someone's going to be like, well, the TOs get screwed over even more. We're not making this a competition. I'm talking about you people who are going to be commenting, right? In what universe do you think that a $60 billion corporation is going to do anything but look at us like, we don't want to work with you. If you're just talking about how much you hate them, how much you shit on them all the fucking time. Do you think they're going to do anything but hate us even more? No. And even if your goal is to just have Nintendo not intervene at all, do you think that bringing attention to it over and over and over and over again is the way to get attention away from Nintendo on Smash? No. You're just bringing more attention to it. That's all you're doing. So why do you keep doing this? Yes, we're all frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. But no one has done anything to even try to remotely fix the situation. People are like, oh, we've talked to Nintendo in the past. Who did you have that talked to Nintendo? Did you have a person who's very intimately familiar with corporate like culture in both Japan and the United States, understands the complications of Japan legislation, which prohibits emulation/code injection entirely, doesn't allow for tournament prize money because of gambling restrictions, and who also understands the American aspect of it? Has anyone that's even been remotely qualified for that ever even tried? No, because they don't exist in Smash. So no, we have not tried to talk to them in any meaningful capacity. We just straight up have not. The other thing you all have to understand, if you piss off Nintendo, what happens when one day they just say, okay, you can't stream our game anymore? What do you do, chat? What do you do? We buy Nintendo 5 head? True. You lose. Game over. You can't play the game anymore. You can play for fun. They can flip that switch whenever they want. They can do that. Absolutely they can. It's their IP. Absolutely they could. In 2 seconds they could do that. They did it for EVO. And people were like, oh, well, Backlash worked at EVO. Do you know why Backlash worked at EVO? Because EVO raised $100,000 for cancer and had all of the fighting game community eyes on it. And that was the worst PR that Nintendo could have possibly, like, hoped for, basically. We're not raising $100,000 for cancer with every tournament. These are just random ass tournaments that they can pull the plug on at any point. And that's why when people are like, oh, just don't work with a Nintendo sponsorship. Again, if you don't work with them, what happens? They can just pull the plug on you. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're screwed. And you have every right to be upset. I have every right to be upset. Even if it's the life I chose, I understand that. It's my discussion. It's my decision. That's part of the reason why I try not to think about it too much. But you have every right to be upset with them. You don't have to like what they're doing. You have every right to hate them with all your guts, for all I care. But why are we keep drawing attention to it over and over again? Why are we calling out people who are trying to make a living because of how much we hate Nintendo? And do you think, like, all the movements on Twitter are going to do anything? Do you think that, like, a mother of 3 going to Best Buy to buy the new Pokemon game is going to stop there and think, you know, they really screwed over those Melee players. Maybe I shouldn't support this company. No! That's their target audience anyways. Not us. We're 0.01% of their fucking target audience, bro. Like, this isn't gonna do anything. And not only that, all you're doing is making some poor person who works at the Nintendo's Twitter account hate their lives. Do you think it's impacting any of the higher ups at all? Do you think it does anything? All you're doing is making them hate their life. Some poor person behind there has to deal with all of this, and you're just shooting the messenger over and over again. The higher-ups don't give a fuck about this. They hear that there are people who are mad about their tournament getting shut down. It's like, oh, okay. How much do we make off of Metroid Dread Trip, by the way, this weekend? That's how long it stays in the brain. I want to support a goddamn fucking family in a few years. I can't afford to do that playing Melee if this bullshit keeps happening. No, it's not that you shouldn't try. It's that you shouldn't try to harass them over and over again because that doesn't work. Try it in other ways. It has nothing to do with not trying at all. There are other ways to go about it. There are a bunch of casters who are literally trying to make a living and then you're going to go after them? Again, yeah, absolutely. You can be upset with them. I'm not saying you can't be upset with them. I'm not saying you can't dislike what they did. But do you know their financial situation? Do you know why they took it? If not, you probably shouldn't make a comment on it. And it's not even a matter of, oh, well, we haven't tried. Twitter's been shitting on Nintendo for over a year. And clearly that hasn't worked once. It's only made it worse from what I can tell. So why are we continuing to do it? Exactly. Try to communicate with Nintendo through people who actually have an understanding of how fucking corporate world works. Not people like Crimson Blur. Get people from the organizations, especially people if they have an intricate understanding of Japanese corporate culture, because that's going to help you a lot more. Yeah, and it's like you're gonna attack the Ultimate commentators. Bro, why are we attacking Ultimate at all? Why are we attacking against the one other game that's also getting destroyed by Nintendo? Why are we attacking Ultimate? Why do we attack any of the fighting games? It's all whack. Why? Why would you ever do that? It doesn't make any sense. I hate it. I hate this stupid, like, elitist culture. I love my game. My game's sick. I think I have to play the best game ever. But so what? Some Ultimate player thinks they play the best game ever.